Left-wing rhetoric is hitting its boiling point.
If you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, you get out and you create a crowd.
We must abolish ICE. This is the legislation that we need.
Are these new messages of the Democratic Party? Here to weigh in on this is nationally syndicated radio talk show host Dana Loesch. Good morning to you, Dana. Is this the direction of the?
Good morning,
is this the message
everyone.
that they want to use for the midterms?
Apparently so, because they lack any sort of substantive policy proposals, and so now they have to default to this. This is what I find incredibly sad about the state of political discourse. And what really gets me is how the media narrative is that, well, this is brand new because it's Donald Trump, and this is Trump's America. Let's be real about this. We can go back all the way to the 60s to the Weatherman and Bill Ayers, who, let's not forget, was the gentleman, which I use that term, that's an abuse of that term, the guy who actually launched the former president's career in his living room. We can talk about Antifa, we can talk about Occupy, we can talk about Ferguson and Baltimore burning if we want to have a discussion on civility. But incivility is not the president being the first Republican of this high office to respond to it, and that's exactly what has happened with Donald Trump. Look, for so long, for more decades than any of us on this show have been alive, we have had our characters impugned, we have had our reputations assassinated by individuals on the far left who have no better way to respond to policy disputes than with violence, than with incendiary rhetoric, and everything that we're seeing now with Democrats. This is what they're doing when they realize that they're losing midterms. That blue wave that we hear so much about isn't a blue wave over Republicans. It's a blue wave within the Democrat Party, within the incendiary rhetoric of the very far socialist left, the Bernie bros, the whole, the individual that you just showed, the girl who, the 28-year-old who won that primary, the full-on socialist. Those individuals are the ones who are taking over the Democrat Party. That is their message. Their message is crumbs. Their message is let's abolish ICE. Their message is let's target Donald Trump Jr.'s kids and Brian Mast's kids. Let's target Steve Scalise and everyone else if we disagree on policy. That's what we've seen in the past several years. And responding to that incivility with rhetoric, that's not, if we're going to have a discussion of civility, let's look at what they've done.
So you're saying that essentially this young newcomer, somebody who had been a community organizer for Bernie Sanders, is pulling the party to the left. And there's a picture of her right there, 28 years old. She has set off an earthquake here in New York City and also Washington, D.C. But then you've got Nancy Pelosi yesterday talking about how, nothing's really changed.
Yeah, I think that newcomer is kind of riding in Bernie Sanders' wake a little bit. And I think it's not just her. I think that there are a number of candidates who are socialist around the country that are actually starting to gain ground in the Democrat Party. And for so long, people like Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, they really enjoyed and benefited from the rhetoric of these far left individuals. Those were the people who would go out and whip up emotions when there wasn't anything real that they could offer in terms of policy, while Trump and Republicans were talking about jobs and trade and health care. These individuals were out there telling people what bathrooms to use and screaming about in Russia and everything else, none of which has come to fruition, by the way. And so Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi, they really enjoyed that emotional, that whipping of emotions so that they could get people to go out and vote. But now it's actually gotten away from them. I mean, Chuck Schumer had to kind of walk Maxine Waters back with his recent remarks. They've lost control of their party. There's chaos in the Democrat Party. The media doesn't want to talk about it because they're too busy trying to drive a wedge between voters and the administration.
I mean, to be 28 years old, run that type of race. I read her background. Very impressive, very smart. I think I give her all the credit in the world. It kind of scares.
Well, it's easy when the opponent doesn't show up.
Well, I'm just talking about through her whole life, just by what I've read and what I've heard. But I will say this: it scares me that socialism is gaining ground in the country. Politics aside, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
But thanks, Dana.
Bernie Sanders said that what they believed is now becoming mainstream.
Yeah, free college, free money, free jobs, free housing. Not in capitalism. Thanks, Dana.